Welcome PSY 364 students. This is my commentary for week 8 in our semester together. This week we're focusing on issues related to the breadwinner part of men's psychology, which is to say the significance of men and work, and indeed even the impact on boys as they take on masculinity and the roles of men. Chapter 10 is our reading in Kilmartin. I've also put in this week's folder a list of a series of brief but very good videos related to the issues of unemployment. I've opted to expand on Kilmartin's focus, understanding that unemployment itself is a full-time job in many families, and so understanding the impact of this on the psychology of men and boys is obviously a critical complement to Chapter 10. One more housekeeping thing. Test 2 is due at the end of this week, so you see it on the calendar, but it'll be the end of this week in which you will be expected to submit it. Okay. The breadwinner issue is, as Chapter 10 vividly illustrates, in so many ways a central source of men's investment in well-being and aspects of thriving as a male in cultures that are largely work-oriented. So the importance of this theme, this week's theme, cannot be understated, really. We look at it not only from the historical perspective, as we well understand that ideas of masculinity over the history of this nation and even before have been shaped by the nature of culture as it has shifted from a hunter-gatherer to an agrarian and then to an urban context, and all of which are part of our culture today. That would be a sociological perspective that I think is important. Psychologically speaking, the issues of men investing and over-investing in work is really critical for us to look at, even as we look at the issues of developing identities in teens and preteens in the idea of working. The issues of career versus jobs and how the shift from careers to multiple jobs is impacting men's feelings and thoughts about masculinity are a part of this week's examination. I think you'll find some good trigger questions on the discussion board, and please do add your own, as I think they've inspired and guided the discussion in the past and will undoubtedly do so this semester as well. So I will say this, most of the resources on unemployment that we're looking at this week really document the pattern of an emerging deterioration of men's access to worker roles and how that in essence creates both psychological stress but also role strain. Role strain both in the role of a man in the workplace but also in the role of men unemployed. So these resources tend to be more problem-focused than they are solution-focused. One of the trigger questions I've shared with you this week is to find resources that speak to the solutions. In other words, how men cope and thrive with the challenges of the various work environments as well as the experiences of unemployment. That's a gap, as I see it, in the resources that we have in studying these topics. Okay, I also added one small new element, a sub-theme, if you would, associated with unemployment is retirement. I put that in quotes because, of course, the line between unemployment and retirement is not a clear one at all. I think this is a particularly germane theme here in Maine, where the demographics show us that we have some of the oldest citizens in the country, and literally tens of thousands of men are transitioning now to either voluntary or involuntary retirement. So I think some of the most exciting solution aspects to this are the aging in place initiatives that you can see in the Maine communities today. And being that that's a particular research interest of mine, I'd be happy to share with you further information. As far as tests and even essays, this semester I will not include retirement in any kind of required essay, but I do want to at least acknowledge it as one of the variations of unemployment going forward. Okay, I think that's about enough of my commentary for this week. Again, as I said in week 7, I'm a bit disturbed by the perhaps low turnout at the mid-semester workshop, which is okay, but combined with the low posting rate on the discussion board, it begins to suggest a pattern of too little engagement in the course. And so I'll do what I can to encourage your becoming more engaged, not only in the discussion of our weekly text materials, but also in the development of your course project. And it's not too early to start thinking about your course project. There is a required assignment in Workshop 3 that will be graded, where you'll do an oral presentation of a draft of that project. So please do reach out and connect with me if you were unable to come to the workshop, or if you are wise enough not to want to wait till the end of the semester to begin dealing with these 2 graded assignments. Again, the first of these is the oral presentation of your draft project, and secondly is the written report of the project itself. So that's a fair warning. In Dr. K's office, I will post now the request that you share with others in the course your plans for Workshop 3. And the reason for that is it takes time to make sure that every student has a peer group in which to do the oral presentation. So I need to have all of you get involved in identifying those peer groups. Without going into great depth at this point, let me say that the opportunities for a peer group in which you make the oral presentation are either at workshop number 3 on the phone bridge or on campus, or by organizing an off-schedule peer group and completing it in that context. Those peer groups can take place face-to-face or in a Google Hangout or on the phone bridge, which you have access to whenever you want it. So the choices are complex, but the goal of organizing your oral presentation and selecting your peer group should begin in the coming week, and I'll be happy to help with those. So please put that on your to-do list, and we'll take care of that before we get into sort of crisis zone. I'll just remind you that at the end of this semester we have holidays and all sorts of distractions, to say nothing about the other challenges in your lives and your other courses. So let's get that taken care of early, and I think you'll all be glad that you did. Thanks for your attention, and I look forward to working with you whenever you give me a call.